So hi guys, today we are going to create our first app in React Native. So we are going to use Expo for that. That is very useful if you are a beginner, so you do not have to do a lot of like manual installation and other things. So this would be our app, and this is the number that we are going to increment, decrement or reset, and whenever we will click on this button, this text will respond accordingly. So for our design structure, what we are having here, we are having this big view that would be our vertical view, and then we are having this horizontal view in which the items are aligned in horizontal direction, and these items are buttons, and this is the text, and we are having some kind of border around the text. So yeah, this would be our app. So let's get started by uh, initializing the project. So hope you have already installed Expo in your system. So we will create our project by Expo init, and then we will give it a name as counter app. So we are going to select the minimal app as clean as possible. So our application has now been created, and let's just open it in our Visual Code and close this terminal. So let's first see the file structure of this. So first we have this assets folder which will contain some icons and other things, and then we do not have Android and iOS folder here because it is a Expo managed project. So we need to eject from Expo for having our Android and iOS folder. Otherwise Expo will manage all of this stuff by itself. So here we have a package.json that will contain all our dependencies, and we have app.json that will contain some properties of our app like name and version, other things. And then we have this initial file as our app.js where we will start our coding. Then we have this node module which will contain all the files of these dependencies, and yeah, that's pretty much of it. So let's just start by deleting all of this code. So for writing JSX, what we need to have React in our we need to import React to. So what we are going to do, import React from React, and we are going to need something from React Native also. Let's like so we are going to have a text, and we are obviously going to have a view, buttons and style sheet, and yeah, that's enough for this screen, I guess. And then we are going to create our function app that will have empty props, and we are going to export this as default so that it would be taken up by this Metro bundler. Yeah, so we need to return a view from here. So we are just going to return a view, and it would be a empty view for now. So let's just save it. So let's write something more here. So let's return a text here that will contain hello world, and let's just save this file and start the Expo server and run it in our Android. So our app build has been completed, and now you can see this hello world text in the top left corner, and it is like it is in the starting. That's why we are having this messy view. So let's just start by giving some style to our view. So we will give style equal to, and then a JSX, then a JavaScript in JSX. So we need to give a curly braces styles dot screen, let's say. So we need to create this constant also. So cons, we are going to define all our styles here in the bottom so that it will look good. stylesheet.create, and then we are going to create all our styles that we are defining with this dot. So let's start by creating a screen. So for creating like full view, what we are going to do, so what view does, it just take the main axis alignment as the size of its children. So for now its children is only hello world. So let's just give it a flex. So we can give any flex here because it is the only child there. So if we give let's give it a flex equal to 1, so it will cover all the screen on its main axis alignment. And let's just give it a justify content as center, and align and align item as center. So what this justify content do, it align the items in its children and on its main axis. Like this is the main axis of this view, default main axis of this view as column. So it will align this hello world from here to here. And now we have align items that would be used to align the item in the cross axis. So first, if we just give it a justify content, then the hello world would come here in the center left. And if we give align item at center 2, then it will be centered in the horizontal manner also. So now we are ready with our like screen in which all our content are in center. So let's just start creating our main components. So we will start with text that will create some value as our counter. So let's give it 5 for now, and then we are going to have 3 buttons, and it would be it would have a title as increment, and let's copy this and paste this 2 times more for decrement and reset. So let's save this. So now we have this text and we have three button which are not doing anything for now. So let's just give it some styles. So let's so first we are going to create a border around this 5. So let's just wrap this text inside a view. So we are going to cut this, we are going to give a view, and then we are going to paste it inside that view. And let's give it a style as styles dot text container, and now we are going to define this style here. So we are going to give a padding of like 10, and we are going to give it a fixed width of let's say 100, and give it a margin of 10 also. And we are going to give it a border radius of 10, let's say, and we are going to give it border color as gray, and we are going to give a border width of 1. So all of the properties are like understandable by their name. So let's just save this thing, and this text container is putting all its child in the like starting of this container. So let's just give it align item as center, so it would be centered horizontally. And let's just give it so there is no need of justify content, but let's just give it justify content as center also, and let's save this. So now we have got this container. So let's just increase its padding as 20. Yeah, so now it is looking good, and let's just increase its width as 2 also. Yeah, so now we are ready with our text container. So our next task is to align this increment and decrement button horizontally. So what we are going to do, we are going to wrap this inside a view again, and so this would be this. Now this has been covered inside a view, and let's give it a style as style equal to styles dot horizontal button container, and let's just define this style in our style sheet. So we are going to give it a flex direction as row. So the default flex direction is column in all of the containers. Like this view, we have default flex direction as row, that is vertical, and now we are default flex direction is column, that is vertical, and now we are going to give it a flex direction as row, which is horizontal. So let's just save this. So now you can see that these two buttons have become horizontal, and let's just give them some padding and margin also. So for that, what we are going to do, we are going to wrap this two button inside a view again. So now it is okay, and then we are going to give a style to this buttons also. So let's just give it a style as button container, style equal to styles dot button container, and let's just define this style here again. So this button container will contain a margin of 10, and let's just save this thing. So now we are having this thing, and now it is not aligned in the like vertical direction. So let's just give it a so this is its main axis and this is the cross axis. So we need to give align item as center. So this would be aligned in the cross axis again, and now we need to increase the size of this button. And what we want these two buttons to be equally sized and half the size of our horizontal screen. So for that, what we are going to do, we are going to give them a flex equal to 1. So what a flex do, it gives size to its children's in their main axis. Like this is its main axis, and if we give flex equal to 1 to them, it will cover the maximum length it can take, and it will divide that into 2, and they will take half and half both. So we need to give flex equal to 1 to this button. So if we want to give more than one styles, then we are just going to wrap it inside a like list container and just give it as flex equal to 1, or you can give some another style dot some style that is defined here. So for now, what we are just going to copy this and paste this here, and let's just save this. So now these two containers are like having this equal size. So let's just give this button a color also. So its color, let's say we have green, and let's say we have its color as red, and let's say we have the reset color as gray. And if we save this, so we need to give a string to the color prop. So now it is okay. We are having a green button, a red button for increment, and we are having this reset button. So now we want to give this reset button also as the like width equal to its parents width. So we cannot give this flex equal to 1 to this reset button because this increment and decrement button was in like horizontal direction, and we have given flex equal to 1, so it will cover the maximum length possible in the horizontal direction. But this reset button is in vertical direction. So if we give it a flex equal to 1, so it will cover the maximum length it can cover in the vertical direction. So all this content will go to this upside, and this reset button will cover this much size of the screen. So what we can do here, we can give it a width of 100%. So let's just try giving it a width of 100%, and we will start by giving it a style equal to, and styles dot let's say reset button container, and let's just define this style at the bottom. So if we give it, so for giving it a width of like maximum it can cover, we can give it a width of like 100%. So if you are giving some percentage, then you need to give it like as a string, otherwise you can give it as a integer. So let's just save this and see what it can do. So now it is covering the width of 100% at its parent, which is this like complete view. And if we give some margin here, then it will not affect it, because the margin will be going outside of this screen. So what we can do, we can cover it inside a view. We can cover this view inside a view, and we can give like margin to this view. So we are going to style equal to margin, and we are going to give it margin as 10, and then we are going to give it the width of like 100% here, and we should give it a padding, I guess. So now it is okay. So what this view is doing, this view is starting from this left border of our mobile, and it is covering till the right border, and it is covering a width of 100%. Now if we give some margin to this view, it will do nothing to that view all again. But if we give some padding to this view, what it will do, it will start its children's after this 10 padding. So we are having this view with a padding of 10, and then whatever will give inside it, it will start from the like inside margin of 10. And now we are giving this view inside that view that would contain a width of 100%. So now we are having a reset button equal to like starting position of increment and decrement. So now we are complete with our like UI, and we are going to see how we can implement this increment and decrement and reset button. So as we can see, more than 90% of the viewers have not subscribed to the channel. So let's just take a break of 2 to 3 seconds and just like and subscribe to the channel if you like the content. So let's just start by creating some handler function for that, so that when we call this button, that handler function would be called. So const increment handler, and let's just give it as a empty function, and let's just copy this function for decrement also and for reset also. So now we have created this handler buttons, and let's just handler function, and let's just give to this on press function of these buttons. So we are going to this green button and giving it on press handler as increment handler, and this decrement to decrement handler, and this reset button to reset handler. So now we are done with these buttons. Whenever we are clicking on this increment and decrement has been called. So let's just write it in the console.log increment clicked, and let's just save it and open our console, and let's just click on this increment. So now it is like giving it in our console log as increment clicked. So let's just close this terminal right now, and we do not want to have some console log. We are going to have do something with this. So let's just create a constant that would be displayed on this text. Constant counter equal to, let's say, give it a 5, and for giving a JS value, we know we need to wrap it inside curly braces. So start writing so we can give this counter inside this curly braces, and let's just give it a value as like 50 and save it. So it will have 50 here. So now what we want this values to be changed whenever we click on this button, and this return value will be called only once. So whenever we are clicking on this increment button, and if we do like this, counter equal to counter plus 1, so this counter value would be incremented, but it would not be reflected on our screen because this value is already returned from the view with the value of 50. So for re-rendering it, what we want the state of this functional component to be changed, and for handling the state of the functional component, we are having hooks from React. So let's import a use state hook from React, and let's just use this use state hook, and it will, let's say, having our, so we will have our initial value as 0 as our counter, and it will give us like two values. You can see my previous video. It will have a list of two values that would be, one is the value of that variable, and other is the function that can change the value of that variable. And this counter value is used here, so because we have given the same name. And then what we are going to do, we are going to increment this counter as 1. So we are going to set the counter value is equal to current counter plus 1, and same we are going to do with the decrement. So let's just copy this and decrement this by 1, and for reset we are going to resetting the value to 0. So let's just save these things, and now our application is ready with increment, decrement and reset button. So whenever we are going to click on increment, it will increment the value as 1, and whenever the state of this functional component is changing, it will rerun this render function, or this return function is called again, and it will give a new view with the updated value of this counter. So that's why we are having these changes on our screen. Otherwise we won't have any changes because the state of our component is not changed earlier. So when we press on decrement, it will start decrementing, and whenever we will press on this reset button, so it will be resetted to 0. So yeah, if you like the video, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.